So, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, especially with it being close to holiday seasons, a lot of players and just coaching staff in general have entered health and safety protocols. And with it being about a couple of weeks now since a lot of them entered, a lot of them are starting to come out of health and safety protocols. I know Trey Young played in the Hawks game the other night.
Yeah, he played in the last 2 games.
Anthony Edwards was cleared yesterday, I think, before their game, so I don't think he played yesterday.
I don't think he played.
The other half of the net squad is basically all cleared to play. They were saying, I know people were saying Kyrie could have played January 5th because that'd be a home game, but Steve Nash said he wanted to give him a couple weeks just to get back ramped up and active, which also makes sense because after that, all the next couple games will be on the road, so they'll get him back at the end of January for a home stint between like the 17th and the 23rd, I think.
I don't get why he needed to get ramped up though. Kyrie should have been at home working out, honestly. So I give him a practice on his belt, but
no, yeah, I mean those were Steve Nash words, but
unless there's not a lot of games in between.
I don't think it's a lot. No, yeah, because like I say, I know it was January 5th was a home game versus was a away game versus Indiana, but everything after that was home game. So
yeah,
I guess that instead of just playing on one game, then have them sitting like let's just give them that extra practice time. But it's good to see all these players coming out because it's going to get to I guess what we could say is the important part of the season now that we're past Christmas and to a lot of not even necessarily just the everyday watchers, but even to some people who's into content creating and whatnot. This is the real part of the season for them because this is when we start separating teams, as I said last week at some point as well, where we see those teams who's already. I know Phil had a thought like once you hit a certain amount of wins by a certain date, that determined if he was going to be there for the long haul or not, and that's where we're starting to get into this season at this point.
Yeah, we almost we're a little over 30 games in, so getting closer to the All-Star game, All-Star vote and stuff like that. So I don't really agree that it's the most important time because we're gonna see a lot of teams trying to play catch up because they didn't take the beginning of the season serious like the team from the city we're from. But this is when it do crank up though because people are in rhythm. And then this is where the kind of survival of the fittest thing happens too because I see people going down. I hate Rubio just got hurt, so we'll see how long Rubio will be out. But yeah, this when the season start getting tough because you playing you really in it now.
And with that being said, I'm John W.
Fresh X.
And it's the Hoopers afternoon session. So, of course, as y'all seen these last couple of weeks, we've been on that Wednesday at 12. This will be the new official time. So y'all ain't gotta wake. I know a lot of y'all don't like waking up in the morning, but I'm glad y'all did. But we'll be here just a little more. Bring y'all in. Y'all aren't already up. Got the crust out your eyes. Ate your little breakfast. Drunk your coffee. My New Yorkers.
Hopefully, you went to a morning shoot around, a workout, so you ready.
Yeah, for sure. And all my New Yorkers up there eating their nasty everything bagels. Those shots always. But congratulations to Steph Curry.
What's a nasty everything bagel?
It's an everything bagel. It's not nasty.
But what is an everything bagel?
It has everything on it. It's a bagel. It has everything on it.
And I'm a fan of bagels, but that doesn't sound. We'll get to it. I'm about to Google that while we're here right now.
But congratulations, Steph Curry and LeBron James on two separate achievements for him. Steph Curry.
Let's go LeBron first.
Let's go LeBron first.
Yeah, Steph mean more than me personally.
Okay, boom, whatever. Then we'll go LeBron first.
Oh yeah, everything bagels. Yeah, I'm good on those. I've seen those. Yeah.
LeBron joined the 36,000 club, and up to this point, he's the youngest player to hit every point.
Like 1K, 4K. Yeah, I saw that. I think Stan News posted it or somebody posted it. Sure, somebody posted it. I saw it.
So I think he's 3,000 points away from Kareem at this point. 3 and some change, or maybe 2 and some change to equal to 3. But of course, next year will be the magic year where he could pass Kareem. How long do you think it'll pass Kareem? We're gonna get to the win in a minute. But how long? Because I got some thoughts on that game. But how long do you think it'll take him to pass Kareem?
Yeah,
and that's with him being kind of
posted it because I want to see the number. Trying to find
and that's with him. We've seen him miss some games over the last couple of years with injuries and whatnot.
Yeah, because where he's at now, like I said, he's about 2 bands under Kareem, and that's what this season still to go. So he definitely passes Kareem next year. When I tweeted earlier, I said I don't know if I said it last night or earlier today. I said I didn't think he was gonna pass him initially, but with the shots at Kareem, it's sitting there he gonna
do it just off the strength of that.
He gonna do it sooner. And when I said that though, I was thinking it was gonna take him 2 to 3 more seasons. Not really looking at the numbers, because I also tried to compare the amount of points that he, has scored in the season. I mean, his highest total points in the year is like 2,200, 2,500.
Right.
But that was back in like Miami days. So He's definitely gonna pass Kareem next year,
Mm-hmm.
because he's still gonna pile up some points this year, and he really scoring right now this year too. I know he's averaging his highest average since like 2010, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, he's tied for the most 30-point games this season.
Right, so he's getting those numbers, and the only thing that's gonna stop LeBron, which we've seen the last couple of years more than his whole career, is health. But he looks good. He looks like he feels good. Like he's getting over those injuries. So I don't think that's gonna slow him down. So he's definitely gonna pass Kareem next year. So it's gonna be cool to see. I didn't know if he was gonna do it, but I want to firmly tell him to show. Yeah, he's definitely gonna pass him next year. So it'll be cool. We'll get a new all-time leading scorer, and it's funny the people that are at the top of the list because I'm gonna go ahead and jump the conversation before we have to it next year. For having next year, they're gonna start talking about where LeBron lays all time as a scorer and not probably being a scorer person. They're gonna put him in those conversations. But the top guys, LeBron, Karl Malone, and Kareem.
Mm-hmm.
How could I forget Kareem's name? Remember Karl Malone's name? Yeah. That's disrespect to Karl Malone all the time. I want that to be very known. I don't care for Karl Malone, but none of them are scorers necessarily. But they all brought longevity, and other than Kareem, consistent scoring. You knew every year what they were gonna get put out or whatever.
24.
So I just want to slow everybody down before they even start. Even before we even get there next year, we're putting him as the greatest scorer ever. But I just don't want to get to that conversation.
No, I feel you, and it's fair to say because of course, it's gonna be brought up because of him being at the top of the list. And just to me, basketball, it's certain things. Basketball isn't about totals, and scoring isn't about totals.
But to LeBron credit, he's different from Kareem and the guy from Utah because LeBron is gonna finish top 5 in scoring average.
So that does make a difference. It's a merit to it, but I get why you don't.
Yeah, he got one scoring title, so that matters.
That means so. So shout out to Ken for joining us, our Canadian cousin.
Hold on, what he said? Oh, okay, I see him. What up, Ken?
But back to the game, which the Lakers did win. LeBron had 32, 11, 11 for a triple-double. Westbrook also finished with a triple-double, I think. Malik Monk, who I seen from the get-go, had a good game for him. Melo played great. Now, my thing, which I said and we've been talking about for the last week, because, of course, everybody's talking about trade Westbrook, trade this person, trade that person. But I don't think they should immediately go to trades in January. Like, let's use the talent that we have. And Malik Monk is one of those players who I don't think they've used to the best of his abilities. I know he can be inconsistent at times. Even his time in Charlotte, he was inconsistent. But he's averaging 10 on the year. But he's truly their only other person that can push the ball, playmate, create his own shot, and create shots for somebody else. And it just doesn't make sense that he should be starting. He shouldn't be starting from day one. Let's get that first out the way first and foremost. And just to see him against a younger Houston Rockets team, he was able to run with him. So that makes LeBron more comfortable. That makes Melo comfortable. They even found a way to take the ball out of Westbrook's hand while him still having the ball.
Yeah.
So I just think it's some more things they can do with that roster. And I think a trio of LeBron, Melo, and Malik Monk is the best three they can have on the court, not counting LeBron, Anthony Davis, or Westbrook.
Well, I don't know how Anthony Davis and Westbrook look this year, but no, it makes sense. I think Malik came in and people automatically, including the team, with kind of his history, didn't really look at his potential, just push him to the bench but he was like some of the youth that was on the team that they need. And he can be inconsistent, obviously, because Malik is still a young player, but he's one of those. He could be like a kind of like a J.R. Smith for them, because when Malik catches fire, he'll give you 25 like he did last night. He'll get some dunks, he'll make some threes in a row. So, and that is somebody else that can take the ball out of Westbrook's hands or even lower the load for LeBron at times. So I did think Malik should just. No, I actually thought Kendrick Nunn should have started from the start, but Kendrick Nunn hasn't played this year yet. But I always thought Malik should have been looked at to be getting more minutes than what he's gotten. And he's missed some time this year also. But I think going forward, like any lineup with Wayne Ellington, scrap it. Don't play Wayne Ellington no more. And play Malik Monk. So, but also I want to take the time to give some credit to. I love seeing LeBron and Melo play together. I think Melo is LeBron's favorite player.
I think so.
Favorite teammate ever.
He's right there. He's right there where he needs to be, and he just takes some trust.
Look, when they was playing last night and they was all on the court, they was in the game. It was like LeBron was in it, but when Melo came on the court with him, he just gets an extra little jump to him.
Nah, you playing with your best
First
friend,
2 passes he give him, he make. You can depend on him.
Nah, yeah.
So shout
I
out
think
to
that's the main part. He knows he can depend on him. And I know your thing is that they should start Melo regardless of who else is healthy, because why not? Like,
I didn't necessarily think that they should start him.
Nah,
I just don't see why he shouldn't start. I mean,
they start him.
I don't. I mean, yeah, I just don't. I'm just not with the argument that he just can't start for a team.
No,
I don't think it makes sense or whatever. But
especially what he still provides to the game, like he's still a good rebounder,
Melo,
a floor spacer. He can still create off the dribble and whatnot.
But he's been one of the most consistent players for the Lakers this year. I mean, even with LeBron missing some time, so Melo is important for what the Lakers want to do.
And he had some good defensive possessions last night where they just let him down on the other end. Like, he got a strip. Westbrook missed a layup. He got a block turnover. He got another strip, missed layup. And Houston hits a 3. It's like, if Melo giving you good team defense, that's all you can ask for, honestly, because that's all you need him for.
Right, pretty much.
You ready to get to Steph now?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
It's time to get to Steph. I think this record is probably the most impressive because more people this year, for me, is more personal because people focus on him passing Ray Allen. I just been focused on him hitting 3,000 threes because who would have thought that we was going to see it happen? And then especially when you look at the amount of, you would have thought he would have played 1,000 games at least for it to happen. And I feel like he literally was just breaking Ray Allen's record last week. And now a week later, he got 25 more threes to hit 3,000. So I think this just begins with him creating one of the most. He's gonna have a Jerry Rice type record, one of those unbreakable records. Because the only thing that stopped Steph, like we said about LeBron, was health. So a couple more healthy years. We already did the math. He played the same amount of games as Ray Allen. That's 5,000 threes. So I'm interested to see how far he pushed this. But we gotta give him, congrats to him on making 3,000 threes.
Sure.
And I mean, it's honestly still counting. I wonder what his regular season total is gonna finish. I'm thinking he hits about 420 this year, 415 or 420.
What's the record?
402. Yeah.
So you gonna destroy the record?
Yeah, he gonna beat the record by at least 10. I'm confident in saying that at least 10 this year.
No, that's fair.
He gonna break his regular season record.
That's fair. And while, like I said, he broke that record. He not broke the record, but he joined the 3,003 club.
He created.
Excuse me, you're right. He created.
He's
the president and the founder of the club and the only member. But he did this in a loss to the Denver Nuggets, who Nikola Jokic has been on a tear lately, especially with what's the word I'm looking for? With all the injuries they have, I'm gonna keep it simple. And he's just been dominating of recently. A couple 2020 games, of course, and 10 assists, 5. Like, he's just been having some crazy numbers.
Yeah,
3-point 3-point win last night. Do you think this is the time where Denver could kind of catch some teams slipping, maybe? Because at the end of the day, their best player is healthy, and he does have some decent role players around that can help him kind of keep it afloat.
Theoretically, this is a good time for him to catch some people slipping because you do got the Joker healthy, but honestly, he's really, when they win, he's really willing them to some wins. But they have, the next game they got coming up is Houston, Dallas, Utah. So they could easily win 2 or the 3 of that. Then you get OKC. So you can see him stealing some of those wins and just getting some momentum going as you wait on certain players to come back and come out protocol and things like that. So I think Denver, because what's the stat? Jamal Murray, he playing this year?
He should be back close to the All-Star break.
He
should be getting healthy soon.
I hope Denver is, and I don't know who they're making a move for, but I hope they're focused on making a move to make the team get better because they got to kind of realize that they're not really trying to go backwards, and having players hurt doesn't really negate what you're trying to do. I mean, y'all were in the conference finals 2 seasons ago.
You still got to figure out how to get back there.
Yeah, how we're getting back there and how we're getting better because the West is getting better. The East is getting better. Everybody's getting better. So I think Denver is you can say that for a lot of teams, but Denver definitely going to have to make another move so they can sustain because the West is going to be – the West is always tough, right? But you're not just beating Golden State, Utah even, Phoenix – like it is. Honestly, if it came down to a series, I mean, I wouldn't even take them against the Lakers right now.
Right.
But they're going to have to add somebody else. Because everybody's picking real quick. Everybody's picking against the Lakers. I want to say y'all hear that same tone when the playoffs come because then y'all going, it's LeBron. That's the death. So I just want everybody to remember that when the playoffs come.
No, those facts. And that's a good point that I haven't heard anybody bring up that point that despite the injuries, they do have to make some moves to better this team to give them a chance to win a championship, because we all know how people think it sounds crazy, but your window can close on you in the same season that it opens on you. And if you're not aggressive making those moves to get ready and get out in front of it, like, your time can pass you. Look at the Boston Celtics right now, not to beat a dead horse.
Right, but if you ain't rebuilding, I mean, I guess my point of saying all that is, like, even with Jamal Murray being out,
even with Michael Porter out, right?
Is Denver playing for a championship? They trying to win a championship? Or they say, like, we're a year away?
I guess a fair question is, I know it's a different situation. Do you feel like Philly is playing for a championship?
Yeah, I do. That's why I've been just as harsh on Morey as Ben, because I think Morey's wasting a year of Joel's Embiid career. Whether you decide to keep Ben or you move on and add another player, I mean, you don't have the injury problems as far as with Jokic as you do with Embiid, but who knows how long you have Embiid being dominant, and you're only young. That sounds good until a couple of years later. I mean, Embiid's what, 26 now, 27. Yeah, they say you're old at 30 nowadays, right? So, I mean, those years because
realistically, he's going to get to that point where he is in the middle of his prime, where he should be dominating, and you are trying to get him MVPs and all NBAs and championships and whatnot.
Because your years pile up, and not that I think I'm definitely not on the train that you can't be a good player in the 30s and dominating championships.
There's still another level to reach once
you definitely do have a window before you have to start changing stuff around. I think Philly is in that, which is why they need to do something with Ben. And I mean, I think Denver is kind of in it too, because you're gonna have to start paying people soon.
They already got Murray on the contract, Porter, Aaron Gordon signed an extension.
Has Jokic even signed an extension?
I don't even know.
Like, so you see what if
Jokic is gonna get the
all
double
this stuff
supermax.
start adding up, and then you just see the talent of the league. I mean, because people thought Golden State was out of it, and then a move here or two makes Steph gets healthy. Now that's another team to weigh you down.
Right.
I think Denver's playing for a championship, so they need to make a move. I mean, look how Phoenix made one move and it's like they leaked you.
Right. No,
Utah's getting better.
And it's like, of course, I know you don't have the answer to this, and only Denver can tell us this, but it's like, I guess, what are you looking for? What are you upgrading on? Because a player like Will Barton, who I like a lot, I think it's time to maybe move him to see what you can get. If you can get better at that position or get multiple pieces at that position with him and somebody else, I don't know. I think they do have a good team, and with a player like Jokic that always push you to great, but they do need to make a move because the championship window can close. So I'm not saying it is, but they better get ready to start making that look, though.
Yeah, I just think, though, teams kind of too easily just like, all right, we hurt. Jamal Murray's hurt. What are we gonna do? You need to make the team. But I feel the same about the Clippers, honestly, too. Like, how much longer you think you got?
I'm glad you brought Paul George. I wasn't finna get into this, but I'm glad you brought up the Clippers because I don't even know who it was.
Denver should rush because Jokic is younger than these guys.
No, yeah, for sure. That whole team is, but still, the league
is
younger every year.
Playoffs.
But I'm glad you brought up the Clippers because I wasn't finna bring them up. But I seen something on Twitter about last year with Kawhi blowing out his ACL. Could have been their best shot at winning the championship, especially with how Paul George is playing. And I'm not saying that's their last chance to win the championship, but it
was a really good shot. So
I know because a lot of people still had them being Phoenix with both of them. Because at the end of the day, if you have two who are supposed to be premier wing defenders, you can't slow that offense down. I'm not saying they will.
I would have taken Kawhi and Paul George over that.
And that's fair. And I'm thinking that's how a lot of people was thinking. But even just looking at
I would have took them over the Bucks, honestly.
That's fair as well.
Kawhi and Paul George over the Bucks, yeah. I would take
and just looking at how Paul George is finna be out 3 to 4 weeks, Kawhi is probably another month away from the season. Probably a couple of weeks, honestly. Yeah. But you never know. And like Serge Ibaka just kind of came back. Injuries are devastating. And this is always to your point. It's the survival of the fittest. Fair or not fair, it's fair to everybody.
Yeah, part of the game. Everybody plays against somebody hurt. And for a roster, somebody's out, you got to beat who in front of you.
Right. But do you think the Clippers can kind of, maybe not this year, but maybe in next year, because I'm pretty sure that next year be a new contract for everybody. You think they can maybe pull it off next year or have a better chance next year? Well, are you calling the season a wash? My bad. First and foremost,
I'm not calling it a wash, which is why I think they should be trying to upgrade. So when Kawhi gets I don't doubt when Kawhi come back, Kawhi's gonna do what he do. Like he dunk on people here or there, but Kawhi's game is an aerial, so he's still gonna be 25, and he's gonna play good defense, especially when you got Paul George, who also plays good defense, but they always need to upgrade at point guard, and now they locked in with Rich Jackson and his deal. So I do think it's a better chance for them to win next year, especially if you get Kawhi back healthy this year. He ends the year healthy, and then he's working out over the summer opposed to rehabbing. That does line them up to be in a good position next year, but they still gonna have to improve their roster. I know y'all paid Reggie Jackson, but they still gonna have to get a better point guard. I'm a fan of Serge and Zubac. They still need some more help inside.
I was thinking maybe like Serge is good for him because he rim protects and he's a popper and not necessarily a roller, but I think they could upgrade from both of those players.
Right. So it's still some things to do to the Clippers team. I wouldn't say this season is a wash, but I get why people would think next year is better. But that's why I'm trying to make the move to upgrade the team now, because without Kawhi, they've been solid, because you see what Paul George is doing. He's playing really well. So you add Kawhi to that. I mean, they just need to keep getting better though. They're right there, and it's still not too many people I'm choosing over Kawhi, because we've seen what he did in the playoffs. I mean, not even just his run with the Raptors that year, where he had I think what was the most points in
the playoffs.
Right, had the most points in the playoffs, total points that year. Even what he was doing on his run before he got hurt against the Warriors, Zaza stuck his foot under him. You can trust what you're gonna get from Kawhi. I feel like I could trust that, or whatever. Because even the game where they killed him in the bubble, people gonna kill him about it. It was a bad shooting game, but in my opinion, he got all the shots he wanted. Sometimes the shots just don't fall for real. So I trust Kawhi, but I do know the Warriors are gonna be better next year also. So especially if they win it all this year. I mean, that's just gonna make free agency want to come back there. So the window is getting tighter, but yeah.
No, yeah, I definitely feel you on that. And just speaking of, I'm gonna go to Phoenix to Memphis because we saw them come down to Ja hit a crazy buzzer beat. I said no matter how much time was on the clock, he would have made that shot. He would have made that shot in the second quarter. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Ja giving Chris Paul dad his jersey after hitting the buzzer beater on his head. If you're Chris Paul and you see an opposing player give your dad, you let your dad keep that jersey, yes or no?
Oh, no, Chris Paul to the jersey. As soon as he saw him, as soon as the camera was gone, he took it out of his hands. She got rid of it. Probably gave it to a kid or something like that. They had to show love for they from North Carolina. He from South Carolina. It's the Carolinas.
No, it's the Carolinas. They stick together.
Young Carolina. So Chris Paul definitely was upset about that.
No, but going to Ja and them winning that game, not even just necessarily Ja. Desmond Bain has been playing great, even with Ja getting inserted back into the lineup. How far do you think Memphis can go? Like, of course, everybody needs to start getting ready to try to make moves, especially trying to make it to that next level. But with Memphis, just with the roster they have right now, how far do you think they can go?
I mean, I don't see Memphis making it past the first round still. But Desmond Bain adds something different to that team, because I think we talked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
Would they consider maybe keeping him in the starting lineup even with Dylan Brooks back? Right? Because who starts at the 3 for Memphis? I'm not sure.
Right now, I'm not sure either.
But I wonder would they keep him in the starting lineup, because Dylan Brooks, while he's a really good player, he's solid. He plays defense well. He's averaging 19 right now. I think you get more out of Bain offensively. His potential has a higher ceiling. He can create a little more. He can go ISO a little more. So, and that's something that I think a lot of us has looked at, saying that Memphis needs, because most of us like Jaren Jackson. I like Steven Adams as a starting center. I like Brandon Clark on the team. Everybody loves Ja. So it was always like they needed that too. I mean, it's always been trades about them trying to get Bradley Beal. Mm-hmm. I said in the draft I wanted Anthony Edwards to go there, but obviously that didn't happen because of situation or whatever. So maybe Bain could be that. And if that unlocks something else in that game, I mean, because since he's been starting, I think he's averaging about 22 a game, 21 a game, something like that, since he's been starting. So, I mean, that's a little bit of an improvement from
Dylan Brooks. While still bringing good perimeter defense as well.
Right. So it's just a matter of how does him and Ja mesh together in the starting lineup. But I think this year for sure, I don't see them making it past the first round. But they were the 8 seed last year, so the improvement for them would be not having to play in the play.
No, yeah, for sure.
they're going in the right direction.
No, sure. Speaking of perimeter defense, I seen a tweet the other day complimenting Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso, saying the way that they play perimeter defense without an interior defender is amazing. And I was just thinking about that because I know the last couple seasons it hasn't been as heavy. Maybe this year has been past couple years with Rudy Gobert going back on the defense player of the year. But a lot of people, the conversation was perimeter defense or interior defense. And of course, people saying, well, interior defense, you can make up for a lack of or weaker perimeter defense. But if you're strong on the perimeter but not in the interior, you're going to give up buckets constantly, or, so it's going to stay equal a bad defense. And I never jump in these conversations because I always just want to see where they're going to go. But I don't understand. I go perimeter defense first and foremost, to my point, because we seen what the Bulls were able to do in the 90s, winning 6 championships, where it was we're going to go to the paint. And they denied that, which is why I always said they would beat the Houston Rockets, because no matter how many moves Hakeem has, how are they going to get him the ball? And we see that that's the best. Like, that's still – now I'm not saying the Bulls are going to win the championship this year, but if you can deny the ball getting down there, you don't have to worry about not having a premier shot blocker or somebody who just defends the rim and whatnot, because you can't get it down there. And I think, not saying Rudy Gobert isn't a good defender, and he probably shouldn't have won one of those 2 defense player of the years.
He shouldn't have won 1 or 2 of them, but
but I always feel like interior defenders can get played out of a game before a perimeter defender, and that's not what even try to get him in foul trouble, because with pick and roll being so heavy now, even with big men being more capable of being able to defend out there for a couple seconds on the possession, you still don't want your shot blocker out on the wing defending to Steph Curry or Kyrie or Kevin Durant or James Harden.
Yeah, perimeter defense at the end of the day always going to be more versatile, honestly, because they will be able to play more positions. But we've seen teams, everyone's a fan of Draymond. Draymond has proven that you don't need the interior defender or whatever. If you got the versatility and you got Clay and Iguodala pressuring the ball on the perimeter or whatever. That's why even KD was an effective rim protector for them there because he's 7 feet. Just put your hands up. We're gonna make it tough for them when they get to the basket. And now they kind of out of control when they get in the paint. So I always thought perimeter defense. that's why a lot of people thought that the Clippers were gonna be so good with Paul George and Kawhi, because we know they both Kawhi's won 2 defensive player a year. Paul George finished top 3. So we know that they're both elite. I do think shot blockers can be played out more in a couple of different ways, because for one, if you're shooting the ball really well, they don't affect what you're doing at all. You're just going to shoot it. And if you do got somebody that can pull them away from the rim, now the paint's going to be unprotected, and it's easier to pull a shot blocker away from the rim than it is to get a perimeter.
Right.
So,
no, yeah, definitely.
Elite perimeter defense. That even helped the Lakers, if you remember, in the 80s with Cooper and some other guys. They had really good perimeter defense. That was calling for Miami. And
I meant to say Miami too.
It was LeBron and Wade on the perimeter. And that's when LeBron was really locked in defensively. So perimeter defense is something that's helping the Bulls out a whole lot, because Lonzo and Caruso. Caruso is just he's a pest out there. He got really good defensive instincts, and then Lonzo, he has good defensive instincts also. You just add that with a 6'8" frame, long arms, and things like that. So yeah, defense is what's gonna get the Bulls a shot when it comes down to it, because you gotta get stops in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, for sure. They don't necessarily have a shot blocker, or I don't think nobody's scared that with Vucevic
7 feet, he'll put his arms up, but
you're not scared of him defending the rim.
About to turn, let's move on to the right.
I want to get to the Brooklyn Nets last, because of course we've seen James Harden coming off his health and safety protocol stint, came back and played 2 of the best games of his season so far against the Lakers and the Clippers. He had to do it to LA, of course. But like we said earlier, I'm sure they'll be bringing Kevin Durant back soon. LaMarcus Aldridge, Kyrie will join them at some point in January. And I'm pretty sure a few other players are coming back as well, minus Joe Harris. The Nets are sitting there.
What's wrong with Joe?
I think it's his ankle. Like, he's out for injury. I'm pretty sure the Nets are sitting there first in the East at 23-9.
Yeah, they're first.
Do you feel like this is the part of the season where the Nets are probably going to go one of them long win streaks, even if it's just like 8-9 games where they just rattle some wins off?
I can see that happening, especially as you start to get these players back and people are getting in rhythm, and then James is finally getting rhythm. I think I said for our last year, like it's about time for him to start cranking it up a little bit or whatever. But I think this is a good time for them to do it. I know they got Philly Thursday, so they should have. Is that at Philly? No, they're at home Thursday, so we definitely ain't gonna get Kyrie that game. But you'll get James, KD, and LaMarcus. So you got Philly, and you got the Bucks. So they got a couple tough games, honestly.
Right.
But then after that, they go through a stretch where they can pick up some wins. But they played well this year, just off of kind of KD really looking elite. that they haven't put together. I mean, they put together some wins here and there, but they haven't looked dominant. So I do think this is a time for them to do it, and they're gonna be tested, like you said. They got Philly, they got the Bucks coming up, San Antonio, the Bulls. Then you get OKC and the Pelicans back to back, and then Cleveland. So it's a little tough, and then it gets a little easier for them in the end. So I think they're gonna run off some wins for sure.
No, yeah, I definitely can see that too. Because while those are some tough
first
games,
game Kyrie potentially could play as the Bulls.
Yeah. That'd be a good time to get him back.
That'd be a good time. So he'll play the Bulls, and then he'll play. That actually would be good. Yeah, I'm just looking at their schedule. My bad. Because they play the Bulls, and they got a couple home games, and they play like a 4-game road trip. So it'd be good to get him in there. So yeah, Kyrie will be back versus the Bulls. That's gonna be a good one.
That should be a real good one. But other than that, you got anything else for him today?
Nope. Other than that, just as always, shout out to the Off the Ball Network. Appreciate all the viewers. You can find us anywhere podcasts are available. Just search the Hoopers Pod. Tonight we on the halftime app. Who we talking about?
I was thinking either Dennis Johnson or Larry Bird.
Let's talk about Larry Bird. I saw somebody disrespect Larry Legend. So we're talking about Larry Bird then. Shout out to Larry Bird. I saw somebody disrespect him earlier. Try to say he's not top 10 anymore because he's from Steph.
I got my bad. 10. I got a question real quick. Shout out to Zach College over at Off the Glad podcast. We got everybody talking about, his tweet. I'll go listen to what he's saying in the podcast so y'all can understand what he's saying. First and foremost.
They don't understand because he said LeBron, Jordan, Steph. Ain't nothing else to say.
But he brought up another interesting tweet saying if Steph could kind of pull off, I guess what they call a triple crown MVP, finals MVP, and another finals, would you consider putting him in the top 10? You ain't got to take nobody out. You ain't got to say who.
Yeah, I consider him top 10 if he wins championship this year, finals MVP. Because I hate to break it to everybody. You said it a few times, but all these dudes ain't winning final MVPs. I mean, only Jordan got all of them. Kobe got 2 out of 5. I mean, LeBron got all of his. Kareem has what, 1? Maybe? Does Kareem have 1? I think Larry Bird has 1.
1, yeah.
So it only take 1. He get 1. He'll probably be in the top 10. I don't know who my top 10 is right now, honestly, because after Michael Jordan, don't nobody else really matter. But yeah, I would have to consider him in the top 10.
All right, last question. If he gets 2 out of 3, could you put him in the top 10?
2 out of 3?
Yeah.
Like,
let's say he get finals and finals MVP.
But not regular season MVP?
Not regular season.
That's cool because he got 2 regular season MVPs. So yeah. A championship and finals MVP this year is all Steph needs to be in the top 10. If he wins championship and finals MVP, that'd be all he needs.
Okay.
Yeah. That'd be enough, honestly. I do think he needs to win 1 finals MVP. I mean, he don't need to do that. I do think it would be nice if he wins 1 finals MVP. That helps his argument. He don't need to win it because Steph don't have a finals MVP. You don't try to say that certain players are better than him. I mean, you just had a good series. Danny Green was about to be finals MVP until the Heat, till Ray Allen hit 3. So it'd be nice to his argument because once you start arguing with certain tiers, the eliteness matters. But that'd be 4 championships, 2 regular season MVPs. But you got 2 3-scoring titles, 3,000 threes. Everybody shoot threes nowadays.
And I get what your argument gonna be. I say even with all that, at some point we have to put him in the top 10 regardless, because it stacks up with a lot of, like, I know it's like 2 scoring titles, 2 MVPs, 3,000 threes, and counting, 3 championships. At some point it stacks up with Larry. I know Larry Bird has 1 more MVP, but it kind of starts stacking up with a lot of those players, honestly.
I mean, it already stack up. Honestly, man, Steph is one of the top 10 players ever. But if you want to solidify once you get 4 championships, there's no conversation about it.
If we want the masses to agree,
show me these people walking around with 3 championships and 2 MVPs. All of them not even in the top 10. Shaq got 1 MVP.
Get Shaq out of there.
So
Shaq ain't got 3,000.
Hakeem got 2 championships, 1 MVP.
Keeping Shaq in and get Hakeem out of there. No, I'm just playing. But no, it's a debate.
I don't even think I got Hakeem in no more because after research, I can now have Moses Malone ahead of Hakeem. So, I got Moses ahead of Hakeem, way ahead of him. Actually, Moses was way better than Hakeem. All right, I'm just playing. I do have him ahead of him. But if you make a top 10 list right now and Steph's in your top 10, I don't think it's really arguing it unless you got him like 2nd or 3rd ever. Then that's probably just a fan. But I mean, honestly,
because you say
that's hard to do without a Finals MVP.
But we can end it right there though. Before we get going, another
halftime app. We talking the last 3 times. Has anybody ever done it other than Larry Bird?
3 straight.
Talking about the last 3 times, 3 straight MVP of the NBA. We're talking about one of the last 2 people to make first team all NBA as a rookie.
First team all rookie as well, man.
Yeah, basically. We're talking about Larry Legend. Shout out to the halftime app. We'll be on there at 6:00.
And we'll catch y'all later tonight then.
All right, later, players.